Hello, my name is Stacy. Welcome to the Wild Yarrow Apothecaries podcast, where we focus mainly on herbalism, but we also talk about all things holistic health. So grab a cup of herbal tea and enjoy the show. Hello, and welcome to this podcast episode where we are going to be talking all about the cardiovascular system and 7 cardiovascular herbs. Before we get started, I do want to give a couple disclaimers. One is I am not a medical professional. This is all for educational purposes only. Also, we're going to be talking a lot about herbs, and I'm going to try my best to give some information on, herbal conflicts, like if it conflicts with medication or illnesses or any of that. However, just in case I miss something, I highly recommend and encourage you guys that if you're interested in any of these herbs, to please research it before you consume it. Make sure it doesn't conflict with any medications that you're taking, any illnesses that you may have at the moment. If you're pregnant, if you're breastfeeding, please make sure to do your research to make sure that these herbs are safe for you to take. So yeah, oh my goodness, guys, I was gone for 3 weeks. I try not to do this. My goal is to put out a podcast episode once a week, but the last 3 weeks we had things happening. The first week I think was for a really good reason. The first week was our first grandson was born, so I decided to spend some time with family. We also watched our granddaughter, and so it was a little chaotic. Even though my granddaughter, she is so well behaved, she was occupying my attention. And then the second week that I was gone, I actually recorded a podcast episode, and when I was done with it, I hated it, and I didn't have enough time to record another one. And then I decided last week to take a social media break. And I was like, you know what? If I'm taking a social media break, why not just take a break from podcasting? So I do apologize that I was gone for 3 weeks, but now we're back to normal. Things are happening in my life right now, to where this shouldn't happen too often anymore. I shouldn't be taking breaks from podcasts. So hopefully this won't happen again for a really long time. Also, one more update. I decided that I do want to change directions a little bit. So right now I say that I focus on herbalism, but I do talk a little bit about like the nervous system and mental health. I actually want to switch that. I have been so called to talk about the nervous system lately. I just want to talk all about it. And but I still want to talk about herbs, especially with spring right around the corner. Um, this is the time for gardening and foraging, and so that's going to be really exciting to talk about. But I do want to put my main focus on the nervous system right now, just because I feel like it's so needed. And every time that I'm like, you know what, I should research something else other than the nervous system. Something brings me right back to the nervous system, and I just feel like um, two things. I feel like one is we underestimate what a dysregulated nervous system can do, but also just the way the world is going right now, I feel like people are not taught how to manage or handle stress. And so I think it's really important to talk about. Now, I do plan on talking about herbs today, but the nervous system does play a lot into the cardiovascular system. So we're still going to be talking some about the nervous system today. And then next week, I plan on talking about materia medica, which is all about herbalism. And then we'll probably go back to the nervous system. But yeah, so this is a new direction that we're going into. All right, so let's talk about the cardiovascular system. This is something that I wanted to talk about right now, just because Well, I'm going to be posting this on Friday. And then the day after Friday is Valentine's Day. And whenever I think of Valentine's Day, we think about hearts. And I know that it's like the shape of hearts or romance, but I also think it's also fun to talk about the actual physical heart, the cardiovascular system. So, so the cardiovascular system is the heart, the the vessels, all of that kind of stuff. So, the cardiovascular system, of course, is so important. We need our heart to be happy and healthy. And this is, super important for our overall health. One of the main concerns in today's life or in today's world, especially in the United States, is blood pressure. I think the average adult has high blood pressure, and this can be a really big deal. And so we want to, try to figure out ways to balance out the blood pressure. We don't want blood pressure to be super low either, but we want like a balanced blood pressure. Um, so, so yeah, and I always want to say toot my own horn, but or not to toot my own horn, but my intention is not to brag about myself, but to brag about what living a holistic lifestyle has done for my own health. And by um, living a holistic lifestyle. Lately, I have been really monitoring my blood pressure, and I have normal blood pressure. And again, not to toot my own horn and more to toot living a holistic lifestyle's horn, I am 47 years old and I am not on any medication, no medication at all. And I have overall normal blood pressure. And I have discovered that there's two things, and I want to talk more about this in a little bit. Actually, one of them. I want to talk about one of them more in a little bit. But the two things that I have noticed that raises my blood pressure is sugar and minimal sleep. So most nights I sleep like a baby. I sleep so good. And on those days that I sleep like a baby, I have really good blood pressure throughout the entire day. Every once in a while, and there was like 1 or 2 days last month that I didn't sleep very well. And I noticed that my blood pressure was slightly elevated those days. Also, um, I very rarely consume sugar anymore, but every once in a while, like on special occasions, I will have sugar. And when I'm saying sugar, I don't mean natural sugar like fruits, honey, dates, although honey does elevate my blood pressure, but more what I'm talking about is refined, added artificial sugars. These really elevate my blood pressure. So those are the two things that I really notice that elevate. But yeah, and then probably processed foods, which I haven't really eaten processed foods in forever, but I'm sure if I did, processed foods would probably elevate my blood pressure. All right, another thing that we worry about when it comes to the cardiovascular system is cholesterol. Now, I have an unpopular opinion about cholesterol. Some of you are probably gonna think that I am crazy for saying this, but if you think I'm crazy, I really recommend that you do your own research on this because I am just a person on the internet. Why would you trust me? Or I should say, I'm one person on a podcast. Why would you believe me? I don't believe one source. But my unpopular opinion about cholesterol is not the villain that we make it out to be. The more that I research cholesterol, I'm like, wow, we actually need cholesterol. there is healthy cholesterol and unhealthy cholesterol, and I'm not even really talking about LDL versus HDL. Of course, we all know that HDL is, the healthy, but let's go a little step further, is regular LDL is actually, I believe, to be pretty healthy as well. But the problem is there's oxidized LDL, and that oxidized LDL is what could be kind of dangerous. And mostly we get these oxidized LDL through processed foods. So you want to be really careful with processed foods, but if you eat healthy foods and you have an elevated cholesterol, it's probably fine. Another thing, and this is another controversial thing, but if you look at numbers, like right now, I believe that they say anything over 150 LDL is not good. We want our LDL to be lower than 150. But if you look at the numbers in like 1950 and 1950, it was 300, so they were like anything below 300 is fine, but anything over 300 is, dangerous. And I mentioned this once in a TikTok live. So I did a TikTok live and I had this person say, "Hey, hold up, wait a minute. Um, let's not go backwards. Medical knowledge has advanced, so let's not go backwards." But I'm thinking about this. Maybe we should go backwards. If you really think about it, really look at how healthy people were in the 1950s, except for smoking. Like smoking was the worst thing. But except for smoking, people were really healthy in the 1950s. Even I feel like people were healthy in the 1980s. And I feel like around that time, people were not so concerned about cholesterol as they are today. And I don't completely, how do I say this? Hopefully this will make sense. I don't know if this will make sense. Like I don't think this is completely 100%. But a part of me wonders, is high blood pressure and cholesterol, are they the issue or is it the medication that's the issue? Now I do think that high blood pressure can be an issue if it's dangerously high. And I do think if cholesterol is over 300, then maybe, we might want to look and be like, okay, what's happening here? But overall, I don't think cholesterol is the villain that we make it out to be, and that we actually need cholesterol for hormones and brain health. They're doing a lot of studies right now about cholesterol and what it does positively, beneficially for the brain. I've been looking more lately into cholesterol and hormones because right now I'm going through perimenopause. And and right now, the thing that is helping me at this particular moment, like the one thing that's helping reduce my perimenopause symptoms is fat. And for some reason, avocados, chia seeds, flax seeds, um, salmon, all of that is not helping. It's animal fat. And so I did some research and I was like, why is animal fat, why is this helping my perimenopause so much right now? And what I found out is, do you know what estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone, so our sex hormones, do you know what they are made of? And I highly recommend that you do your own research on this. But do you know what they are made of? Cholesterol. They are made of cholesterol. And someone told me once, but yeah, but our bodies make up cholesterol. This is on endogenous cholesterol production, and that's true. But I think sometimes or some people do not produce enough cholesterol, and some people may produce the perfect amount of cholesterol. And maybe in the past, my body did produce enough cholesterol, but maybe now that I'm going through perimenopause, my body needs more. And I know that sounds crazy. I know that goes against everything that we've been taught, but sometimes we've been taught some of the most wonky things. Don't take my word for any of this. I highly recommend that you do your own research. Now, another big concern that comes from um, a cardiovascular system is a heart attack. Now, my opinion is we can try to do things to prevent a heart attack. And then if you do have a heart attack after you get all, once you get the heart attack taken care of, then you can try to do like holistic and herbal things to maybe make your heart stronger and healthier. But while you're having a heart attack, like if you suspect you're having a heart attack, please go to the hospital. Like I am not anti-Western medicine. Sometimes it drives me nuts. A lot of times, I think that people rely too heavily on Western medicine, especially when it comes to chronic conditions. So if you have a chronic condition, I feel like Western modern medicine just does not do well with chronic conditions overall. But a heart attack is an acute condition, and I think Western and modern medicine, this is when acute conditions is when Western modern medicine, that's its time to shine. Most acute, except for like normal, like common colds, common flus, unless you have a compromised immune system. Other than that, like I don't go to the doctors for common colds or flus because my immune system is strong, but more like acute, more like if you have a nasty infection or a broken bone or a heart attack, a stroke, something like that, definitely go to the hospital. Western medicine is the way to go. And so, but I feel like there are ways that we can try to prevent a heart attack, which we'll be talking about in a moment. And there are ways that we can try to prevent, um, we can prevent, oh no, I don't want to go that way. I was kind of lost my thought there for a sec. But there are things that we could do to try to prevent a heart attack. And then there's also like, okay, you had a heart attack, you went to the hospital, you hopefully lived through the heart attack, and now you're out of the hospital, and now maybe there's some and herbs, holistic modalities and herbs that we can take to try to make the cardiovascular system stronger and to prevent other heart attacks in the future, if that makes sense. So, my favorite thing to start off with when it comes to looking at overall health is nutrition. So, what kind of foods can we consume that is really beneficial for the cardiovascular system? Now, I do believe in balance. We don't want to stress ourselves out. So I would baby step, try to change your nutrition. You don't want to change it overnight unless your doctor tells you, oh my gosh, you have to change it overnight or else it's going to be bad. But if you can, I would try to do baby steps. Now, one of the best things for the cardiovascular system is going to be antioxidants. So antioxidants and a lot of the herbs that we're going to be talking about in a few are antioxidant. Oh, I can't speak all of a sudden. Um, they are. Okay, hold on. They have antioxidant properties. Sorry about that. Got mixed up, stumbling over my words all of a sudden. So they have antioxidant properties in them. But some of the most beneficial herbs for the cardiovascular system is going to be um, berries. So like blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, cherries. These are some of the best. And a lot of foods that are like that deep, like reddish, purplish, maybe even like a deep blue color. So beets are going to be really beneficial as well. Now, here's another unpopular opinion that people will probably be like, no, no, no. But meat. I also think meat is really beneficial for the cardiovascular system. I eat a lot of meat right now, a lot of meat, and my blood pressure is normal. I have very normal. Like I am talking about where I bounce um like roughly, I can go like anywhere between 114 to 119 over something like 173 to, or not 173, that's dangerous. So 115 to 119 over 73 to like 79. So I kind of go bounce between there during the day. So um, yeah. So and I eat a lot of meat, so I think meat is really beneficial. For me, like I said, I think it's like processed foods. Now, something else that people are gonna probably be like, oh my gosh, unpopular opinion. It drives me absolutely batty when I hear people say, "Oh, my doctor says I have high blood pressure and they told me to lower my sodium." This drives me crazy because, in all honesty, I don't think all salts are created equal. I definitely think that table salts can raise your blood pressure. Um, Table salts. So table salts can definitely raise your blood pressure. Some people I heard that they switched to Himalayan salt and or pink Himalayan salt, whichever you want to call it. And some people say that drastically reduced their high blood pressure, and some people said no, they still had high blood pressure. I've heard a lot of people say that they have reduced their high blood pressure with real Redmond salt. So they consume real Redmond salt, and that has helped. And that's what I consume at the moment. So I consume real Redmond salt. Now, I am using my real Redmond salt up, but I think when it's done, I'm going to switch to another salt. And I should have looked this up before I got on this live, but I didn't think about it. But I want to switch to another salt, and I cannot remember what the name of it is. But if you want to look it up, um, Paul Saladino is talking about it. You know, I'm going to put it in the show notes. So I'm going to look it up and I'll put it in the show notes. I just want to write myself a note. Um, but Paul Saladino has been talking about a salt that is really good for us, but it is low in lead. They say that Himalayan salt, Celtic sea salt, and even unfortunately, real Redmond salt is high in lead, which is kind of a bummer. But he's recommending a salt that I can't remember the name of, but I'll put it in the show notes so you can check that out. But um, or you can go check out Paul Saladino. He talks about these salts, but I'm going to switch to that salt. Give me just a sec here. Writing myself a note. Okay, so don't forget to put it in the show notes because I will forget. Um, okay, um, but we need salt. So it drives me crazy when doctors tell people to lower their sodium when we need sodium in our diet. We need it, but not all sodium is created equal, and we're all different. We're all very different. So one of the things that you might need to do is to experiment with salts. Do you want to try Himalayan sea salt? Do you want to try, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Do you want to try pink Himalayan salt? Do you want to try sea salt? Do you want to try real Redmond salt or the other salt that I'm going to put in the show notes? Which one of these do you want? So, um, and which ones maybe will not raise your blood pressure? With real Redmond salt, I'm not really a big salt person, but I do use a lot of real Redmond salt. And what's really interesting, I know this probably will not make sense, but maybe if somebody else has tried real Redmond salt, maybe you have noticed the same thing. I use a lot of real Redmond salt on my food, and it doesn't bother me whatsoever, like at all. But then if I go to a restaurant that is probably using table salt, and they salt their foods. I eat it. I'm like, ooh, this is too salty. This is way too salty. And it's probably table salt. And it's like almost like my taste buds can somehow tell the difference between table salt and real Redmond salt. And real Redmond salt does not bother me, but table salt does. And it's so weird. I cannot explain it, but yeah. And we already talked about this, but I want to talk about it more, is sugar. We want to try to lower sugar. And for the most part, I don't have an issue with refined added sugar. I do have an issue with artificial sugar. I think artificial sugar is junk. So try to stay away from the artificial sugars. I am not a fan of those. But refined added sugar, I'm actually not like I don't have a big problem with it except for the average person is not consuming it in moderation. The average person is consuming way more refined added sugar than they should. I believe that they say that women shouldn't consume more than 35 milligrams per day, and men shouldn't consume more than 45 milligrams per day. And the average person is way more. And the reason is, and even if you're like, but Stacy, I'm not a sweet person, I don't like sweets, you could still be consuming more sugar than you realize because they put sugar in things that you wouldn't even think that they would put sugar in. If you buy things with labels, look at the labels where it says total sugar. To me, that doesn't matter. To me, where it says total sugar, it is what it is. But where it says added sugar is what we want to focus on. And that's where I would look at. Even on things that you wouldn't think that has sugar in it, look where it says added sugar. Um, And that is where is the refined added sugar. The total sugars are also counting in natural sugar. So let's say, for example, oh, yesterday in our TikTok live, we were looking at orange juice. My husband and I, like over a year ago, we stopped consuming added sugar. I try my best to, at this moment, to not even consume natural sugars just because that's what my body seems to like at the moment. But my husband decided that he still wants to consume orange juice. So he still consumes orange juice, but we made sure to get one that has zero added sugar. So we were looking at his orange juice yesterday in a TikTok live, and where it says total sugars, it says 22 milligrams of total sugar. And that 22 total sugars, that is the natural sugars in orange juice. So yeah, but then it said added sugar 0, so that is fine. I am gonna say something that is also like I feel like I'm saying a lot of things that are probably gonna upset people in this episode. One other thing that I'm gonna say that's probably gonna upset you guys. Actually, I don't know if it's one other thing. I might upset you guys a couple more times, but one thing is Coke Zero and sugar-free Pepsi. I think is worse than regular Coke and regular Pepsi. Because what they do is, from what I hear, is they take the sugar out of them and they put something worse in its place. So I am not a fan of Coke Zero or sugar-free Pepsi. And when I see people do this, they're like, oh, and they think that they're making a healthier choice. I'm like, no, 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 that's worse. That is so much worse. Um, and so I highly encourage you guys to not do that. Um, yeah, but sugar, I think, is one of the worst things for the cardiovascular system. And I'm talking about refined, added sh sugar. And artificial sugar, hands down, artificial sugar is so bad. So yeah, all right. So let's go to our next topic, is stress management. So stress can definitely cause high blood pressure. And we're going to be talking more about herbs that can help with this. But stress, if you're stressed out, this can definitely cause your blood pressure to go up. I can't remember if it was last episode or episode before that, but I was talking all about stress management. Um, Give me a sec here. I'm looking it up really quick. It was the one before that. So not last episode, but the episode before this one, I talked all about stress management. So you can go check out that one, that episode, to try to, maybe help to reverse some of your stress. And I want to continue to talk about stress management in future episodes because I just think it's so important. Another thing that's really important for our cardiovascular system is movement, exercise. This is so good to help to really strengthen our cardiovascular system. Our cardiovascular system does not like it when we're just stationary. So it's really beneficial. All right, let's go to the part that you guys are probably mainly wanting to hear. And this is all about herbs. Now, as much as I love herbs, and I do, I love herbs. Um, I really believe that if you are eating nothing but junk food, if you are stressed to the max, if you are not getting enough movement, doing all three of these, that these herbs are not going to do anything. So these herbs are going to be very beneficial for people who make other lifestyle changes, if that makes sense. All right, number one, hands down, my favorite herb for the cardiovascular system is hawthorn. And so hawthorn and one of my favorite things about hawthorn is it's like one of those gentle, yet effective herbs. It is gentle yet effective. It comes from the same family as rose. So it comes from the rose family. There's two ways that you can take hawthorn. The most common way is berries. So people will consume hawthorn berries, but you can also get it in leaves and flowers. So leaves and flowers or berries, and in a lot of tinctures out there, they'll combine the three of them. Give me just a moment here. I needed something to drink real quick. So, both sets. So when you buy the leaves and flowers, the leaves and flowers are always together. I don't know if you can, like, I've never seen a company that sells just the leaves or just the flowers. It's a combination of both. If you have your own hawthorn tree, then you can do just the leaves or the flowers. But yeah, so hawthorn is a tree that does that has berries, leaves, flowers, and so yeah, but um the berries, leaves, flowers are all good for the cardiovascular system. The berries are interesting. So the berries to me are slightly sour, and it's not really strong. So it's not like a really strong taste to it, but it's like slightly sour with a hint of vanilla. It's kind of interesting. And then the leaves and flowers are sweet and kind of like a hint of apple. Like you get a hint of apple, and it is a little on the bitter side, but it's a mild bitter. So the bitterness doesn't bother me for hawthorn, but hawthorn is um, good for all things cardiovascular. It really helps to nourish, support, and strengthen the cardiovascular system. It's like nourishing. It's so nourishing for the cardiovascular system. And this is a herb that you cannot take once and be like, okay, I took it once and it's good for my cardiovascular system. No, it's a herb that you have to consistently take for it to be good for your cardiovascular system. So um, consistently take it like every day. And this is, I haven't, at the moment, I am not taking hawthorn. I think it's good to take breaks from herbs here and there. And at this particular moment, I have been taking a break from all herbs. I'm hoping in a few months to start herbs again. But before I took a break from herbs, I was taking hawthorn consistently because high blood pressure does run heavily in my family. And so I am doing anything and everything to keep my blood pressure normal. And so far it's working. So far everything I'm doing is working. I'm so happy about that. Um, so hawthorn, and if I were to make a like a tea blend for the cardiovascular system, hawthorn is always going to be the base. It's going to be the base, the foundation of that herb blend because it's just so amazing. All right, so let's go to number two. Number two is garlic. Garlic, a long time ago, like many, many years ago, they nicknamed garlic the cure-all. They said it was a cure-all because it's almost easier to say what garlic doesn't do than it is to say what it does do, because garlic does so much. Now, unfortunately, with modern illnesses, I do not think that garlic is the cure-all, but it still has amazing, amazing benefits. Garlic is very, very heart healthy. It also helps to nourish, support, strengthen the cardiovascular system. Um, and it's just all around just heart healthy. So, um, I one of my favorite things, because I think in all honesty, like cooked garlic is good for the cardiovascular system, but raw is better. But wants to who wants to bite a raw garlic? Ugh. It has a bite to it. Like it has some spicy bite to it. So one of my favorite things to do, and this remedy is actually promoted to be good for the immune system. It's promoted for helping to prevent like colds and flus, and also to if you do have a cold or flu to help you get over the cold or flu. But it's also heart healthy is a fermented or garlic fermented honey. So I would look up garlic fermented honey. If you're a member for the Herb of the Month membership, I do have a video in the membership all about this in the garlic section. So you go look in the garlic section, and I do have a video on how to make a garlic fermented honey. So you can go check that out. So um, so yeah, but to me, one of the probably the most healthiest things for the heart is going to be um, a garlic fermented honey because you you're eating raw garlic, but it doesn't have that bite to it. I still don't think it's the best tasting thing. I will tell you, it's still it's okay. Like it's not great, but it's not horrible. I have more of a hard time with the texture than the taste, in all honesty. But this is a fantastic way to not only boost your immune system, support your immune system, but also to support your cardiovascular system. All right, let's go to number three. So, number three is linden. So, one of the really cool things about linden is so good for the cardiovascular system and the nervous system. So, this is going to be really good for people who may have high blood pressure because they are stressed. So, if you have high blood pressure and maybe you're also getting heart palpitations, and you know for sure that your high blood pressure and heart palpitations are caused by stress or anxiety, linden may be able to help to lower that. So linden is really great for that. Also, if you have high blood pressure, maybe because you're grieving, linden is a really great herb for grief. So it's really beneficial for that. All right, let's go to number four. So number four is motherwort. Now, just like linden, motherwort is good for the cardiovascular system and the nervous system, but it's also good for the woman's reproductive system. So it's great for for all three of these. So if you have high blood pressure, heart palpitations because of stress or anxiety, motherwort may be able to help with this. Now, just a couple of differences. I want to talk about a couple of differences between linden and motherwort. My opinion is linden is so delicious. It is a very good tasting herb in my opinion. Motherwort is not. Motherwort is not a very good tasting herb. So I like to take motherwort in like a tincture. And in all honesty, for a while, I combined hawthorn and motherwort in a tincture, and I was consuming that. And I'll talk more about that in a moment. Or even though motherwort doesn't taste good, you can hide the taste with other flavorful herbs, like linden. So you can make a linden motherwort tea, and linden will hide the taste of motherwort, or ginger, lemon balm, peppermint. So whatever herb that maybe you like hibiscus. you can try to hide the taste of motherwort. So where linden is more for grief, motherwort is more for people who maybe feel underappreciated. So they're like, I feel underappreciated. Um, it's beneficial for people who may have a little bit of anger. If you have a lot of anger, I prefer passion flower. But if you have some anger, maybe some frustration, motherwort is really good for this. Now, because motherwort is also really good for the woman's reproductive system, this is really beneficial for women who are irritable. Because of PMS, because of perimenopause. Motherwort can help with that. It's also helps to balance out hormones. Now, something you do want to look out for with motherwort is if you have a heavy period. During your heavy flow, you want to stop taking motherwort because motherwort can turn a heavy period heavier. While you are off your period, motherwort is super safe. Um, so, um, so if you're someone like, let's say, for example, you're someone who gets really irritable, um, right before, your period, you have like, you get really irritable PMS, you could take motherwort, but as soon as you start your period, I would stop taking motherwort, if that makes sense. But yeah, but motherwort is just so good for the cardiovascular system too. You know what? I forget what is the Latin name. The Latin name I know has something to do with the cardiovascular system. Hold on just a moment here. Motherwort, Latin name. It's like lion heart or something like that. So it's Leonis. I'm gonna butcher this. I'm butchering this a little bit, but it's Leonis cardiaca. So Leonis cardiaca. Let's see, meaning. I believe it means lion heart. Yeah, or lion-hearted. So lion heart or lion-hearted. And the lion part is because the leaves make people think of a lion. But then the cardiaca is because of what it does for the cardiovascular system. So, motherwort, even though it's not one of the best tasting herbs, it's one of my favorite herbs. And this is one of the herbs that I totally recommend for women who are in perimenopause and maybe they're having cardiovascular issues. And like I said, I like to pair motherwort with hawthorn. So for a while, was consuming a motherwort hawthorn tincture. Um, and this was so, so beneficial. So it's, like I said, really good. All right, let's go to number five. Number five is lemon balm. So lemon balm, just like motherwort and linden, is so good for the cardiovascular system and the nervous system. And I think this is really interesting that a lot of these herbs are super beneficial for both the cardiovascular system and the nervous system. And to me, this is Mother's Nature's way of saying, hey, we need to take care of our nervous system to have a healthy cardiovascular system. The two are connected. Actually, like everything in the body is connected, but especially like to me, you cannot have a healthy cardiovascular system if your nervous system is a wreck. So we need to have a healthy nervous system for the cardiovascular system. So lemon balm, good for the cardiovascular system and the nervous system. It is so it's a very uplifting herb. It's so uplifting. If you have high blood pressure, heart palpitations because of stress or anxiety, um, lemon balm may be able to help with this. It's very uplifting, so like it helps people become more happy. So it's a happy herb. Um, Linden is kind of a happy herb too. They say it's happiness in a tea. I just thought about that. But going back to linden, one of my favorite, or let's go back to lemon balm. One of my favorite things about lemon balm is it's also safe for kids. Linden, I would say, is safe for kids too. Motherwort, I think it's safe for kids, but kids won't want to take it because of its taste. But yeah, but lemon balm is one of my go-to herbs for kids. So um, if a kid is like stressed out, I hope most kids, I wish all kids, but I hope most kids don't have cardio issues. But or cardiovascular issues. But if a kid is really stressed out, I love giving this to kids. Um, let's say, for example, I had a client that came to me and said, "Hey, I have high blood pressure." And I get like gas and bloating a lot. I would probably, even though I don't think those two are really connected, I would probably recommend lemon balm because lemon balm is really beneficial for helping to lower blood pressure, but it also helps with like gas and bloating as well because it's carminative. Carminative herbs help with gas, bloating, and digestion. So I might try to do that. But yeah, lemon balm is fantastic. Now, for those that don't know what lemon balm comes from the mint family and it looks a lot like peppermint. It looks almost identical to peppermint, but it tastes like lemon. So, yeah. Oh, one thing about lemon balm is that lemon balm does conflict with hypothyroidism or Hashimoto. So if you have hypothyroidism, um, or Hashimoto's, you do not want to take lemon balm. All right, hibiscus. Number six is hibiscus. So hibiscus, um, this we were talking when we were talking about um, foods, we were talking about like that deep purplish color is like super good for the cardiovascular system. So hibiscus has that. It's rich in antioxidants. Antioxidants is so beneficial for the cardiovascular system. Oxidative stress cause havoc on the cardiovascular system. So hibiscus helps with that. Hibiscus is also packed with all sorts of nutrients that are good for the cardiovascular system. So um, it's so beneficial for that. So hibiscus is a very popular herb. A lot of people love hibiscus, and um, the cardiovascular system is one of the main things that it does. Also, blood sugar. Hibiscus is really good for blood pressure or blood sugar. So, blood pressure and blood sugar, it helps with both. So, it's amazing for that. All right, let's go to number seven. Number seven is cacao. Now, before you get too excited, and this isn't like regular chocolate, so you don't want to get like milk. So like chocolate that has milk in it or sugar. This is cacao, like 100% cacao is what you want to do. Now, if you do want to sweeten it up some, one of the things that I love to do is get like cacao powder and then mix some up in honey. So mix some cacao and honey, and this helps to sweeten it up a little bit. So you can try that. But it's a it stimulates the cardiovascular system. So maybe if you have some slow circulation, it really helps to um, stimulate the circulation and helps to get stimulation going while kind of um, nourishing and strengthening the cardiovascular system. Now, one of the things I do recommend is cacao is going to be more of a early in the day remedy. I wouldn't really recommend like 100% cacao like right before you go to bed because it is a stimulant. So it might keep you up at night, especially if you do the remedy that I was talking about, because honey is also kind of going to waken you up a little bit. Although, you know what? Um, Taking regular honey right before you go to bed is actually really beneficial because it can help with blood sugar. But I'm afraid that if you try to take cacao and honey right before you go to bed, the two together are going to keep you awake. So I wouldn't do that. Um, so. But yeah, cacao. I don't know if you guys have ever looked into this, but they have a ceremony, like a spiritual ceremony, with cacao. Um, is it? I just lost the name of it. Is it cacao latte? Cacao. I think it's cacao latte. Now that doesn't sound right to me for some reason, but they have a ceremony with like cacao, like hot chocolate type of stuff, and um, if you do like put like healthy milk in there, that's fine. But a lot of the milk out there is like not healthy. So I would look into like raw milk, although a lot of people are anti-raw milk, or maybe like the what is it, the A2? I always get the A1 and the A2. I think it's A2. The A2, I always get those two mixed up for some reason. But you try to do some kind of healthy milk in there. But I would put your own milk because a lot of the chocolates that are in stores, they have like that unhealthy um, milks in there and the unhealthy sugar in there, and it just is not good. So, but yeah, I like to buy cacao like 100% like in powder or in like 100% like chocolate bar. Um, and I don't trust the other cacaos like that have like the sugar and the milks in them. But all right, so that is what I have about the cardiovascular system. Um, so nutrition, movement, stress management is so important for the cardiovascular system. We just talked about 7 herbs that are good for the cardiovascular system. This time of year, I'm always thinking about the cardiovascular system because of Valentine's Day. I know that it's a different type of heart, but it's a heart, right? So, when I hop off of this recording, I'm going to go record another episode for our Herb of the Month membership. I do bonus podcast episodes on there, and we are going to be talking about tropho restorative versus hypotensive versus stimulant versus tonic herbs for the cardiovascular system. So we're going to be separating herbs. We're going to talk about a few more herbs that are good for the cardiovascular system and talk about them in a little bit more detail. So if you're interested in that, come join our Herb of the Month membership. And yeah, I also think I might put a PDF file together for that too, so you can see it all too. So, but yeah, so if you're interested, come join our membership. Let me know. What you think about the cardiovascular system. Let me know if you have a normal blood pressure and what you do for your blood pressure. Let me know if you have any comments and concerns. I know I did talk a lot about a lot of things in this episode that are kind of controversial. Um, I do recommend that if you found anything that I said that was to be controversial, if you found it to be controversial, I do recommend that you do your own research. And after you do your research, if you still think it's controversial, let me know. I'm always curious. There's just so much information out there. And I'm always kind of wondering what people think and like what is true. And one thing I do want to say, the reason I think there's so many conflicting thoughts out there is because of bio-individuality. I strongly believe in bio-individuality. So, all right, guys, I think that's it for the day. I hope you have a fantastic day. And yeah, all right, guys, bye. I hope you loved this episode. If you did, please make sure to follow Wild Yarrow Apothecaries podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave me a review. Do you want to hear more about this episode? Join our Herb of the Month membership, where I add a bonus part of this episode. In this membership, we also have a lot of PDF files, a lot of videos, and every 3 months that you are a member, I send you 3 herbs, and there's so many more benefits. Come check it out. Come nerd out with us. And thank you for listening to the Wild Yarrow Apothecaries podcast, and have a great day.